Hey, happy Friday. How we doing, everybody? It's a bit overcast today. Not raining yet. I don't know if it's supposed to rain or not. Hey, if you're new here and want to get cut up above my head there is a link to yesterday's video where I resized some rods. Or it could possibly be a link to make spaghetti from worm casings. That doesn't sound good. Let's get inside and go do something. Somebody just dropped off some Subaru heads for a surface. We're just going to surface them only. They left a bunch of crap on them I'll have to take off. Now let's get them back to the wash and get the stuff off and get them cleaned up. People bring in stuff like this and they leave a couple pieces on it. And they always say, oh, it's just a couple bolts, you know. Well, you guys need to take them off before you bring them in here because, for one, it does take me time to remove them. And for another, then I have parts that I have to keep track of and remember to give you when you pick up the job. So it's always better if you'll just please take all the extra stuff off of your projects before you bring them in, including the spark plugs, because you're going to put new ones in, right? So you might as well take them out for me, and the head will come out cleaner. And that way I can inspect the spark plug holes and make sure you don't have any damaged threads. All right? Okay, and away they go. Okay, gonna do some rods again. This is that 2-liter Mitsubishi rod that I went and picked up. This is the customer's. It's just hammered. We had to get him a different crank too. So I got a replacement rod here. I just did some weight check on it. Customer's rod 697.1. And the replacement is 697.2, so that's perfect. I have to, customer left some rod bearings in here. I don't know why. I got to take those out. This cap's on backwards, so I got to make sure that all the caps are on correct. And let's get going. I'll put you on the hyperlapse while I'm figuring out these caps, where they go. I've sanded all the sides here and I'm going to number them clearly so that the caps don't get mixed up. These caps have to go back on the same rod. Battery died. That's what she said. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, now we got to cut these caps. We're going to cut these, and what will happen is it's going to make this smaller. Okay, first I got to make sure there's no burrs on the sides of these before I put them in the cutter. Let's run these by hand. There's a burr on there, it'll sit sideways in the cap cutter. Like a high performance job or a job where we're changing the rod bolts, we would take these rod bolts out and cut this surface as well. But this is a nice machined surface. It'll sit against the head. So we put them in the cutter here. It's going to cut a couple thou off of them. Well, you can see I've machined this surface now. We'll do that for all of them. There's a dial down here that I turn off. I'm going to give them a little chamfer. It'll help when the bearing goes in to keep from carving that back side away. Just got to blow them off and put them back on the proper caps. Spray on here. Now I will look at my numbers. 3, 4, 2. This will be 1. And we got to find the right rod. This is number 4. We'll go back on the same one. The bearing tangs both have to go on one side. That's number 1 here. That's number 4. Number 4. Cap kind of fits these rods very snug. And then the one that we replaced, I didn't tell you, we pushed the piston off, the old rod, and we'll put it back on this rod with the piston here. So let me get some oil. Here's some oil. Always got to have oil on your fasteners. You won't have a proper torque if you don't use oil. Too much friction involved. Good thing I swept the floor. That way I can see that nut that I dropped. Hope you're on camera. Get a little closer over this way maybe. I think I have it zoomed in on this, don't I? Can you guys tell me at home? Can you see me? Can you hear me now? Okay, see if we can keep knocking the camera over. Obviously I have to torque these. Okay, let's get these torqued. I need my socket though. And the torque is, I don't even know what the torque is. I wrote it down. 25 pounds. So we'll set the, maybe we'll put these on so we can see, huh? Okay, I have to do these one at a time. Torque these to simulate being on the crankshaft so it's the proper size. This one, if these are not torqued, they will wind up on the crankshaft. It's going to be too tight because you're right. Cut them. That's letting us know something's here. And now I got to hit the side. Just bumping them. I'm not really taking anything off of them. And now let's hone them. Okay, here we are again. So I got to change everything from what I had set before. So this is what we're shooting for. I'm going to shoot for the middle there. I'm going to go for 1 to 890. So I got to change these fingers. These are too big for that small of an application. The rods we did yesterday were 2.374, I think. Somewhere in there. 374 and a half, I think. These fingers are a lot shorter. So it makes the gauge read for a smaller size, which is what we got, quite a bit smaller, under 2 inches. And there's a black one. This one's black, and this one's kind of a silver. Don't ask me why, but the silver one goes on the right. Because they say so. Sonnen says so. This is an AG300 gauge. It's about a $2,000 gauge. Sounds like David's got a customer. Bear's letting us know that there's a customer up there. Make sure these are tight. These get loose. Obviously the size is going to change on us. So we are looking for 890. Got 1 to 2 mic here. Going out to 8. I don't know if you can see that. 7, 8. Every time around is 25. That's 825. Here's 850. We're looking for 90. We'll go around again. Now we're at 75, 80, 85, and 89. That's the size we're shooting for right there. So now we adjust this just like we did before. This is just a comparator mic. It doesn't know any sizes. You have to tell it what size we're working on. I want this to be right on 0. Move that down just a hair. Probably can't see, can you? I think it's more important that I see. More important than if you see. It's important you see, I guess. We're learning here, right? Give that a little wiggle. Right on 0. There we are. Yeah. Let's see how much we got to hone. Right on 2. So this mandrel is too big, remember? Over 2 inches yesterday. So we got to take this one out. Put it down here and pick out this one. Now there's a over and under. This is set for over. I got to go under 2 inches. So I'm going to spin that around. This keeps it from oscillating when it's rotating. It still will a little bit, but not as bad when it's set to the closer size. Make sure that's all the way engaged. Like that. Now, those of you that were paying attention yesterday, you have to set these shoes to the proper diameter, the proper radius. All it is a radius. Radius. Circle is a radius. Or the circle has a radius. I don't know. It's a science thing of some kind. These tight. We got those set. Make sure we're still rolling here. And now we're going to hone them. Two. Started off with the easy one that didn't have a piston on it. Kind of cheating in it. That's okay. Hope you can hear me. We got the washer running, the heater's on. This rod's starting to get a little bit warm, right on 0. I'm going to take it the 10th or so past because it's a little bit warm. Now I'll let that sit there and cool. And a new rod here. It has a piston on it. These are a little more awkward when they have a piston on them. Same process, just like I said, a little more awkward with that piston hanging off there. We're gonna have to loosen. We have to free up that piston on the pin. They're not supposed to be tight like that. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to push them off or what I'm gonna do yet. We'll have to see. Maybe just put some oil in there and work it a little, it'll come loose. Now we're gonna let this one cool as well. Start on another one. Anytime you get your engine torn apart, you really want to resize these rods. They get pretty whipped around inside there, hanging onto that crankshaft, dealing with the combustion. Quite a load on the poor little guys. Especially these little rods. Little engine, little rods. Last one here. Didn't touch much off of that one, did I? Okay, we'll let them cool and then see what we got.
Looks like I got honing oil on the lens.
Okay, so give everything a second to cool here. Good. 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 And they're all good. Imagine that. Okay, we're gonna wash and get that piston back on that rod.
So here's that piston. I don't know if you could see. It's got a little bit of, there's some doo-doo in here. I'm going to hone it just a little bit. We don't have a lot of tolerance there to hone a lot. Just got to get rid of the high spots. We'll change out the manual. Okay, now I've got to move this over here. Let's see where that lines up here. Go a little bit more. And I'm going to turn the feed down to 1. That's the lightest pressure. So I'm just going to give it just a little bit of a rip here. Not even going to measure it. That's it. Just want to take off the high spots. This has to float in. Real precision fit. Less than 1,000. I got a burr on here. What's going on? Yeah, I gotta hone it just a touch. Just a little bit. There we go. That's what we like to see. Okay, let's get it hung. Okay, it's in the rod heater. The rod's going to heat up, the pin will expand, and the pin will go in. Okay, got that piston back on the rod, got them all resized. His crankshaft was too damaged to grind, so I bought a core and then ground it 1010. I have to run to the warehouse and grab some bearings and rings and a gasket set for him. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for coming along again. We got Simply Jan Homestead live right now. It's 4:15, so I got to get to my favorite YouTuber. All right. You guys have a good night and be nice to each other, okay? Thanks.